when you were getting the coal, you bored holes into the coal and you put gelatin into it, and then you had a fuse that you lit for to make it explode. So what they would do was maybe put 4 in the bottom, 3, 2. They wanted the bottom ones to go off first to get the initial breakout. Then it didn't take as much gelatin for the rest because you've got a void there, a bit of a void there. That's why they did it like that. So it was the carbide lamps at the time, the naked flame. And what they would do, bore the holes, put the gelatin in, put the detonator and the fuse in, take the lamp off and light the fuses. So he's lit the bottom ones first, they're going to come out first, they're going to explode first. The fuses, you cut them to suit whatever length, and he'd cut the bottom ones too short. And when it was doing the middle ones, the bottom ones went off. You could hear the explosion going off, but he's saying, there's something not right there. There are only so many went off there. And he went out and see what's happening, and the guy's lying there. He's still living, but he's got no legs. And my dad just cradled his head in his lap, and when the guy died in my dad's lap, in those days there wasn't any counselling or anything. That was, he just got on with it. That's the kind of things that miners had to put up with, had to come face to face with. And we got thanks. You didn't get paid for it, just thanks. Three different shifts. You had day shift from 7 o'clock to 2:15, back shift 3 o'clock to 10:15, the night shift 11 o'clock, excuse me, to 6:15 in the morning to go there. My dad, he worked at a pit that was further away, so he would give me a shout when he was going out, and I would get up, make my breakfast, make my peace, and go to the pit. When I started working the pits, I could walk to the local pit. It was about a mile, almost a mile from my house. If the weather was good, we walked there. So I would leave about 6:30 in the morning, and you handed one of the tokens to the guy who was putting you into the cage for to go down the pit. That was the square one you gave him. And that went back to the office, and they knew that you were down the pit, who all the men were that were down the pit. When you come back up, stepped off the cage, you handed the round one. It went to office, they knew who was up the pit or if MD was still down the pit. The reason they had a round and a square one, and you took the round one down the pit with you, because the square one, if it was in your pocket, it could wear the line of your pocket away and lose it. That's basically why there was two different ones. So I'd come up the pit, back into the engineer's shop, write out my report, then it'd be go to the bath again, get washed, and walk back home. I didn't need to work half as hard as my dad or my grandfather worked. They didn't have the same conditions. They didn't have baths for washing it to come home dirty. When you take Douglas West pit, let's say guys in the day shift that comes up the pit 2:15, he's got to walk that 2 miles. It could be snow, sleet, rain, anything, to Colburn before he can get to his house, before he can get a wash. Where my grandfather worked was where the open cast more or less started a number of years ago. And prior to that, there was no, when he was working up there was no facilities for baths. And most of the miners had to come home and get washed in front of the fire. And it was usually a big zinc bath, which my grandmother would fill with hot water, waiting them coming. They come in for their shift. Grandfather, he's the man of the house. He gets the first wash. Uncle Peter gets the second wash. My dad gets the third wash. Now, she's had to boil water 3 times. And I remember my dad telling me, my granny had to wake him up for to get his wash. It's that exhausting fell asleep the first day he'd worked in the pit.
We'd see my grandfather getting his bath in front of the fire, which was just a normal thing because there were no baths in the house. There wasn't any hot water in the house even to heat all the water. But we had noticed on this one occasion that he had a big red mark on his back. And we were a bit concerned. He was a very quiet man, a gentleman. Never heard him swearing for all he worked in the pits. In fact, I was told that he never swore even at work. And I quite believe that. But anyway, we had noticed this big red mark on his back. And we plucked up courage to ask him how it had come about. Oh, he said, "You don't believe it," he said, "but your granny hit me with a shovel." We were aghast at this, of course, but not surprised, because we felt my granny would have been capable of doing that. But however, eventually we discovered some time later, indeed it was a birthmark, it wasn't my granny at all that had done it, but we were quite positive that she would have done it had she been needed to do it, you know.
Well, when I was working the pits, there was baths at that time for washing and that. You went with your ordinary clothes on. You went into one side, the clean side, they called it. You hung your clothes up there, your shoes or boots, whatever you had. Got your soap dish with your soap in it and your towel, and walked through to what they called the dirty end, where all the dirty clothes and dirty boots and all that were. Didn't always have the towel round about you because it was all men and that, and just picked the towel up and soap dish and through to the other side. You weren't allowed to come from the dirty side into the clean side with your pit clothes on. You could get suspended for a week if you did that. The main Colburn Road run right past the pit. You stepped off the bus at the bus stop at the pit, and there was two stairs. One went to the right, one went to the left. The one that went to the right went into the baths. The one that went to the left went into the canteen. A lot of the miners who were maybe single or that, they would go and get their dinner there when they come up the pit. And one day, the bus comes in and it's a new conductress that's on. She gets off the bus, she wants to get into the canteen, and she says to a couple of the guys that's standing there, "Can you tell me where the canteen is?" "Yes, just down those stairs there." But it was the bath stairs they told her to go down. And when she opened the door and walked in, they heard the scream. Because as I said earlier, the men were walking about with towels over their shoulder. But she never went to the wrong place again. We played a lot of games when we were young. You wouldn't get away with them now. The girls, they drew what they called beds with chalk on the pavements, and they were chalked off into different squares and that. And they're an empty shoe polish tin, and that was called a beaver. And you had to throw it and get it into a certain square, and then you hop, skipped up and that. You wouldn't get doing that now, going out and chalking the pavements. They'd be sending for the police for you. Then there was kick the can, an empty can, bean can, whatever, and it was placed in the middle of the road. And one person was what they called het. They had to go and catch everybody else. They would turn their back and they'd to count to maybe 15 or 20, and everything away and hid. He jumped in over fences, hedges and everything, hiding. We got away with absolute murder. And they would come, if they caught somebody, took them back. The can's there, they have to stand there, get the next one. But if he's away and somebody else is close enough, you just run out and kick the can away, and that lets the two get back into the game again. It went on for hours and hours. Now, would people put up with that now? Boys and girls kicking a tin can up and down the street? They'd be going off their head, wouldn't they?
Like most mining communities, the principal sport was football. At one time there were 5 different football teams in this area, and Colburn wasn't as we see it now. Colburn was a couple of row of houses just when you come into the village past where the village green is. There was miners' rows there and one shop. But where most of the activity in the pits at that time was at Bank End, which is about 2 miles out with the village, and it was a much busier place. And there were places, hamlets, round about Colburn, each with collieries beside them. But gradually everybody moved into the village around about the 1930s. But prior to that, as I said, there were 5 football teams, amateur teams who played with the Haley's Comets was one of them, the Belfield Rangers and West Doon Star, all the fancy names of the day. And that was the principal sport. But in addition to that, there was kites, or quoits, depending who you're speaking to, kites, which were basically the precursor to the green bowls, because the kites were very similar. It was like a horseshoe, and they were thrown to a mark in the ground, a muddy mark in the ground, and there was a steel spike in the ground, and it was whoever landed not on the spike but nearest to it was a winner. So it was very similar to rolling the balls up to the jack. But it could be quite a dangerous sport because you had somebody there to help you, to sort of guide you, and we used to put paper into the clay, and the man stood with the paper to mark the point, and while this quoit was being thrown maybe 20 yards through there, and it was quite a heavy thing.
You had the football field, and then 100 yards from the football field, there's one of the local pits, Clochan number 6. There was men would come up the pit, there was no baths at that time, run over to the pavilion, get the football strip on and out. But these 2 brothers played with the local junior team. It was a home game. One of them went down about a quarter of an hour before the game was due to play. They went into the pavilion and sat there. Then later on the rest came in, went out. The brother that was in first would go out and play the first half, come back in, swap jerseys. Another twin brother would go out and play the second half. Back in the 50s, the 1950s, I don't know who it was, because I was only fairly young at the time, but they decided to have a football competition with all the local mines and pits. And you had the tradesmen, electrician engineers and joiners, they'd have one team. A certain area in a pit would have another team, the name of what area they were in. And it was called the Steak Pie Cup. The winners and the runners-up got steak pies, each player in the team. The winners got I don't know what weight it was, but they got a much bigger steak pie than what the runner-ups got. There's quite a bit of rivalry in that, there definitely was there. Not so much with the local pits. By saying that, I mean the ones that's actually in the Colburn area, but you had other pits, Douglas West and that, and there's I would say there a wee bit more rivalry there than what there was with the local, because you could be playing against a relative or a best friend. It caused quite a bit of rivalry, the different games and things that they played. But after it was passed with and back down, back at their work the next day, all these things were forgotten because everybody looked after everybody down the pits, because your safety depended on other people and other people's safety depended on you.
The miners' welfare here, it didn't open until 1925.
But it was for the miners, it was a social club, that's what it was for.
And where we are here was a billiard room, and then there was a reading room, and then the far end where the bar is, that was the lesser hall. In fact, I'm led to believe they played badminton in there, but how they managed that I don't know, because it wasn't very big. There was a badminton court up the stairs as well, and pictures were up the stairs. But they ceased when television became popular, and that's when this place opened. The miners' welfare opened. It cost £6,000. That was the cost of building it, and it came from a levy similar to what they did with the open cast and the leisure centre in Colburn. It came from a levy according to the tonnage of coal that was taken out in each area. I think it was the Jackson Act from memory. I think it was only a penny a tonne, old penny a tonne, a penny halfpenny a tonne. And what actually happened, all the mining areas were given the opportunity of taking money from this fund overall. The Lanarkshire miners decided that they would use it to build miners' welfares. And there were several miners' welfares, and all the mining areas had them. This is one of the few that's left.
The community is very close in it. It was very, very close in it. Even though the pits had closed in 1968, it remained the same way. Everybody knew everybody. The only animals I seen down the pit was mice. I only seen 2 or 3. The first pit I worked in Colburn. And when I first saw them, I was quite amazed because their coats was absolutely shining. They must have kept sort of preening themselves all the time. The mice, they would go down in the hutches, the tubs. That's how they get down. The rats, they would get down the same way as the mice. And the days of when, before I started in the pit, my dad worked in the pit, you go down the mine and then there was different roadways went off to the sides. So the tubs would go down, they would send 5 tubs down. There's 2 men working to share 5 tubs. So whoever can fill the first 2 tubs the quickest gets the 3rd one. You got paid for the amount of hutches, tubs you filled. So the rails came down the mine. Then you'd a set went in that road and set in that road. But there wasn't enough room for it to put a bend on it. So what they did a big iron plate. And the hutch went onto that, the first one, and it would turn no bother. Metal wheels on the metal plate. Take them in. So somebody decided they'd get rid of the rats. They got the electrician to come down and wire this big plate up. Then they got I don't know about half a slice of bread. I can't imagine them giving away a whole slice, even to the rats, to get rid of them. They'd sprinkle some bread on it, then they'd turn their lights out, and they would sit in the silence. Couldn't see a thing. You can't see anything down the pit or down the mine when you put a light out. Your eyes never get used to it because there is no light, like in the house reflecting through the windows or whatever. It's just, you can actually put your finger in and touch your eyeball without any problem down the pit because you can't see your finger coming, and you don't do that. Blink. So they would sit there in silence, not moving. And when the rats came on to the metal plate, well, their nails, they could hear their nails scratching on the, so the electrician just turned the switch. No rats. Before I was born, some of the mines up in the moors, there's animals and birds all the time wandering about and that. There are not many went down, but one weekend this fireman was out at the pit, him and 2 mates, and he went down to check things out, gas, and see if any broken props or any roof falls or anything. He's down the pit, down the mine, and he turns into this other roadway, and he saw a sight that absolutely terrified him. And he turned and never stopped running till he got back up the mine. There was no baths in the pits at the mines at that time, so you went home with your clothes on, went into the fireman's wee hut and says, "I'm going home, what's wrong?" He said, "I've just met Satan, I've met the devil." Faced it. "Don't be stupid, I'm telling you, I've seen the devil. Bright red eyes, his horns, hair in his face, cloven feet, I seen him from me to you away," and I ran. And off he went home. And they were laughing. And then one of them says, "He's the last person in the world that would have a joke or be saying that." what do you think? Oh, we'll go down. So they went down the mine and they went to where he had seen old Nick, and it was a sheep that had wandered down the pit. It's in the dark. The minute he turned round and his light hits it, the eyes are bright red, the horns is there, the hair in the face and the cloven feet. My dad worked in one of the local pits, Achmedden, well, mine rather, as a pit. 5 tubs, hutches for some reason hadn't been hooked onto the rope and ran away down the mine. And the metal wheels going over the metal rails made a lot of noise, right down to the very bottom of the mine, and then there was this almighty bang. And the men for the different roads where they were working heard it and realised there was something wrong. And they came running out. My dad was one of them. The hutches, the tubs, they're all lying upside down, all over the place on the bottom of the mine. And I remember my dad telling me that it was total silence. Nobody said a word, because as far as they're concerned, the guy that was working at the bottom of the mine, he's no longer living. And they started moving the tubs off, got the first one off and got it clear. Got the second one off, and I think it was the third one, and they heard, "Oh, that's better, boys." And my dad says the tears started running down his face. He says it was such a joyous thing for to hear his voice. He says, we all just looked at each other. He says, and everybody was the same. You knew that if there was something wrong, somebody would be there to help you, or you would be there to help them. It's, I don't know how to explain it, just one of these things that you knew you could rely on anybody else.